If being in a room full of people makes you tense, but the second a dog wanders over or a cat jumps into your lap, your whole body finally relaxes, this video is about you. You're at a gathering, standing there with a drink, shoulders tight. Your brain busy managing eye contact and small talk, scanning faces to see who's safe, who's bored, who's judging. You're on. Then the dog wanders over, or the cat hops off the chair, and you find yourself on the floor saying hi. Within seconds, your breathing slows, your jaw unclenches. Your nervous system calms the moment you touch fur or hear that little purr. For the first time all night, you're not performing. You just exist. Or you're walking down a crowded street, mildly on edge, until you see a dog and your whole body lights up in a way people rarely get from you. You've even caught yourself saying, "I trust animals more than people," and then quietly wondering, is that messed up? If you've ever felt more at home with animals than with humans, what I'm about to tell you about your wiring is something most people you never get to hear on it, can completely change how you see this side of yourself. Spoiler, it usually doesn't mean your heart is broken. It usually means your nervous system is highly attuned to real, simple, non-performative connection. Of course, the world has loud opinions about this. People tease you. You care more about animals than humans? Or it's just a dog. Calm down. Maybe someone's rolled their eyes when you chose to stay home with your pet instead of going out, or joke that you'll end up alone with 17 cats. Underneath the jokes, the message is clear. This isn't normal. Something's off. So you start to question yourself. You feel this real, uncomplicated love and safety with animals, but also a quiet guilt. Why is it so much easier to be open and affectionate with them than with people? Why do I relax more on the floor with a dog than at a table with my own family? Does this mean I'm broken, or that humans just aren't for me? From the outside, it looks like an odd quirk or antisocial streak. On the inside, it feels like the only place your guard truly drops. Most people like you stop there and decide they're just weird or damaged, but your nervous system and your history are telling a deeper story about why animals feel like home in a way people often don't. What almost nobody explains is that feeling safer with animals usually doesn't mean you have a cold heart toward humans. It often means you have what we might call an attunement-oriented nervous system. Relax when connection is simple, honest, and mostly nonverbal. Animals give you that without trying. They don't play mind games. They don't say one thing and mean another. They don't judge your clothes, your job, or how interesting you are. They respond to energy, tone, and how safe they feel. With you and your body reads that as, finally, something I can trust. Humans, on the other hand, come with mixed signals, hidden rules, and a history of being hurt or misunderstood. For a sensitive system that craves realness and consistency, animals feel like the one place where the social mask can come off. To really understand why your body breathes easier with animals, you have to look at what's happening under the surface. First, there's nervous system regulation. Animals communicate mostly through body language, rhythm, and presence. No forced eye contact, no awkward pauses, no pressure to be on. When you stroke a dog's fur, feel a cat's weight on your chest, or listen to slow, steady breathing, your system gets a clear signal. Safe. Here, now. Heart rate slows, muscles unclench, your mind stops scanning the room for danger. That's not sentimentality, that's biology shifting you out of fight or flight. Second, there's consistency and lack of judgment. Animals don't suddenly ice you out because of one weird comment. They don't care about your status, your social skills, or how impressive your life looks. They care about how you show up with them, your tone, your reliability, the feeling of you. That predictability is gold to a sensitive system. When a creature greets you the same way every day, your brain learns, here, I don't have to guess. I know where I stand. Third, there's the layer most people miss, old relational wounds. If people have been confusing, critical, unreliable, or cruel, your nervous system has quietly taken notes. It doesn't forget being mocked when you were vulnerable, abandoned when you needed someone, or punished for being yourself. Around humans, that history can keep you slightly braced. Around animals, those same triggers don't fire as hard. Your guard drops because, with them, your past doesn't feel like it's about to repeat. Psychologists might call this a higher trust threshold for humans and a lower one for animals. Most outsiders only see that you prefer animals. They rarely see the sensitivity, loyalty, and carefulness that taught your body exactly where it feels safest. The real question is whether this safety is helping you heal or quietly convincing you to give up on people entirely. This is where things get delicate. Your bond with animals can be deeply healing. For a lot of people, they were the first beings who showed steady, unconditional presence, who didn't mock your feelings, didn't abandon you in the middle of a meltdown, didn't ask you to be less. Letting that matter is healthy. Curling up with a pet, instead of forcing yourself into draining social scenes, can be an act of real self-respect. But there's another version of this where comfort with animals slowly turns into hiding from humans. You stop giving anyone a chance? You assume every person will judge, betray, or exhaust you, so you never let them get close enough to prove you wrong. On the surface, both stories sound like, I just like animals more. Inside, one is rest and repair. The other is fear quietly running your whole social life. When you put all of this together, your story stops sounding like, I'm weird, I only trust animals, and starts sounding more like the truth. You're someone with a sensitive, loyalty-driven, attunement-oriented nervous system. Your heart opens where there is presence, predictability, and no performance. You're not incapable of bonding with people. You've just learned to bond where your system actually feels safe. That says less about a lack of feeling and more about how deeply you feel when you do trust. Owning that doesn't mean giving up on humans. It means letting your bond with animals teach you what you need from them. Fewer games, more consistency, real kindness. Maybe you won't have 50 friends, but you might find 1 or 2 humans who feel a little like your animals do. Calm, safe, glad you're there without needing you to be anything else. If this felt like someone finally put your love for animals into words, you're not alone and you're not broken. Subscribe and stay close if you want more videos that explain traits like this without shaming them. And tell me in the comments how animals make you feel compared to people, because in the next videos, we're going even deeper into why people like you are wired for real safety and depth in a world that often feels anything but.